Bob.
If it's craft beer in Michigan sports, we may not be the authority, but we love both like a fat kid loves cake. Hot, hot! This is State of My Sports.
Might have already done that one. But before we get into the main topics of episode 130, I want to remind everyone that the Hops Brewing Company and Cafe is open and pouring some of the best craft beer in West Michigan. Their revamped food menu, rotating taps, wine, and ciders make the hops perfect for what you have going on. From dinner with the family, late night drinks with friends, and everything in between, the Hops is becoming a staple in the West Michigan restaurant community that we highly recommend to our friends and listeners. The Hops is the official brewery of State of My Sports in 2021. And if you mention State of My Sports, you'll get a nice little discount off your first beer. So here we are, college basketball season. I'm going to call it college football for a long time, I'm sure. But we're going to start with MSU and try to move through it as quick as we can. Ryan, I'm going to kind of count on you to kind of tell us what you want here. But
well, I wish they would have been playing Kentucky or Duke right now because, my goodness, they can't score to save their life.
All right, so MSU entered last season ranked 13th in the country and reached number 4 in the country for week 3 and 4 before falling quickly. The combination of the injury bug and just the strange season of the COVID caused issues for many of the Blue Bloods, which included Michigan State. They finished 15 and 13 overall, 9th in the Big Ten, going 9 and 11 in conference. They made the tournament as an 11 seed play-in game and lost to UCLA, who ended up making it all the way to the Final Four. I kind of want to start with some additions and subtractions here. Rocket Watts transferred to Mississippi State. Foster Lawyer transferred to Davidson. Thomas Kiffier, Valparaiso, and Jack Hoiberg to USTA. Michigan State also lost senior guard Josh Langford, who had an opportunity to come back but decided not to. Decided not to play another season. I don't know if he's in the NBA or not. But a couple additions that are worth bringing up was true freshman.
Another subtraction would be the best player that got drafted last year. Lefty.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive.
Bald.
Second rounder. Anyways, go on. We can go on to the additions because that's important. No, it was 2 years ago.
He was probably a long time. Anyways, some additions that they are worth talking about. True freshman Max Christie will be the starting shooting guard for Michigan State, who is highly touted 5-star recruit. And from the transfer portal, they got point guard from Northeastern Tyson Walker, along with Jaden Akins, who I believe is a freshman. Is that right?
Yeah, Jaden Akins is a freshman, 6'5", athletic, lefty shooter, can do a lot with the ball, and he showed it tonight, really.
Cider just scored. Some quick odds here. So odds were to win the Big Ten is plus 900, to win the national championship plus 3,000, and their over-under is at 22.5 wins, currently unranked and lost to Kansas today, right?
Correct. 87-74.
Some projected starters. This was a projected. I didn't see what happened, who exactly started, but Joey Hauser, Marcus Bingham, Tyson Walker, who's the transfer, Gabe Brown, and Max Christie. Just some quick thoughts, then Ryan, I'll kind of hand it over to you and kind of see what your thoughts are heading into the season with them. I just think it's going to be a really interesting year. And I feel like this is very strange for Tom Izzo because usually he's got some big names coming in. And I know that they have a big one. But usually it's a couple, I think. And one thing that I'm seeing about seeing Izzo do is it doesn't seem like he's enjoying himself nearly as much anymore. And I think that he's coming very close to just being done. And I think the combination of the way that we've seen him, and it might just been the COVID season kind of being difficult on everybody, and a guy like Izzo would probably kind of feel that more than anyone. But also you got the new AD in there. I'm curious if it doesn't go well, if this will be one of those mutually part ways and retire for Izzo. And I heard him on, I think it was Jim Rome, I think he was on one time, and he was like, yeah, I'm not going to have my farewell tour like Coach K and stuff like that. I was like, when I'm done, I'm going to be done. I'm just going to not show up the next day. And I think that was eye-opening because he's already thinking about it. And most coaches don't talk like that. And for me, like seeing the way that he's acted the last year and a half to 2 years, and if it doesn't go well, I could see a change here. I don't know if that's fair, but that's where I'm going to be really looking into this season and be like, all right, what is Izzo feeling? What is he saying? And what does it mean for the program moving forward? I don't know if you have any other thoughts heading into the season, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be that kind of a year for Izzo. I think you're right. He's getting to the point where he's thinking, at least considering, like when is the right time to call it quits, and he can't be doing this forever. And you want to leave when you're still at the top of your game. Mm-hmm. I think let's get back to the team real quick with the basketball too. There's a lot of unknowns, and last year, they got to the Elite Eight after disappointing throughout the regular season and getting an 11 seed and having to really play their way into the tournament, which was surprising.
This past season?
Yeah, this past season.
No, they lost the play-in game.
Michigan State?
Yeah. It was 11 seed versus
Correct.
11 seed to play into the tournament. They lost to UCLA.
Oh, UCLA. I'm
Sorry, you're getting Michigan State.
Yeah,
confused.
I am. Yeah, in the Elite Eight, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
But really, they could have won that game.
Yeah,
at the
it was.
time.
I think it was overtime, maybe double overtime. I don't remember exactly, but I think
All right.
it was, yeah.
No, you're right. And so Rocket Watts, we said it at the beginning of last year. He was probably the win or lose. He was the reason they were going to win or the reason they were going to lose. And he didn't take good enough care of the basketball. So what did they do? They went and got Tyson Walker, which is a transfer that's coming in who has I think he averaged over 18 points a game, 6 assists. He had the ball in his hands all the time. He's a decision maker. He's a pretty smooth athlete and should be somebody that they can trust moving forward. To also replace him or as a backup, Rocket Watts I'm talking, it's the point guard position. Then you also have AJ Hogard, which was last year's freshman. Not the best, I would say point guard body, but looking at him this year, he's gotten a lot stronger. He's gotten a lot more confident. And tonight against Kansas, he had a big part of why they were in the game in the first half and was one of their main playmakers in this game. So I expect a lot from AJ Hogard moving forward. So I really think their point guard position this year is a lot more solidified compared to last year. And as the season goes on, you're gonna find their roles. You're gonna find in late game situations who they're gonna rely on to handle the ball and make that decision, and who's gonna go sit in the corner and shoot the three, or who's gonna be on the bench. You're gonna find out, who Izzo's gonna trust in those kind of situations. But Max Christie, freshman, 5-star guy, big-time recruit, he looked every bit of that tonight, and I'm very impressed with him. I think as the season goes on, you're going to see him take more and more of a lead scoring role in this offense, which is big because they have a lot of really good role players on the team, but they need somebody to take control of the ball and make these big-time decisions. And so, you're not just making Marcus Bingham and Malik Hall make all the decisions, and even Gabe Brown, because I think the next forward slots that we've already talked about are I don't even know how to differentiate them, but let's just get into it. Joey Hauser, Julius Marble, both power forwards, can pass the ball, can be physical. Joey Hauser's more of a touch guy with the three-point shooting, decision making, but then Malik Hall and Gabe Brown, those are all power forwards / small forwards. Yeah. And it can either be the strength of this team moving forward, or it can be their downfall if they don't handle the ball and make good decisions. So that is the key to watch with this team. Again, I'm going to go through it. Gabe Brown, Malik Hall, Julius Marble, and Joey Hauser. It's a mix of big bodies that they're going to have the ball in their hands a lot this year, and they're going to rely on them to play center sometimes when Marcus Bingham is out. So
yeah, so let's get into some players and some categories that we always like to do for the preview. You brought up Max Christie. I was going to put him as my breakout player here. I just think he's going to be a key. We saw him in the exhibition. He scored 17 points in 19 minutes against Ferris State. You said he had a really good game today as well. So it sounds like Izzo's going to trust him, which is way different than what young guys come in and do right away. Right? This is going to be a different type of team for Izzo because he's going to have to trust a young guy, and he can't put him through the ringer and like Izzo kind of likes to do early on. He's going to have to throw this guy to the wolves, and he's going to have to be a key piece early on. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself busting your butt just to kind of get in contention for the
Yeah,
tournament.
I mean,
we've
we've seen it though. We've seen Jaren Jackson play early on
That's
as a
true.
freshman. We've
Yeah.
seen.
But Christie's not to that level, is he?
Well, I think he's more of like a Gary Harris type,
Okay.
where they're going to trust him. They're going to give him the ball. They're going to expect him to score. And as the season goes on, Gary Harris proved to be that kind of a guy. And I think Christie is hopefully up for the challenge. I think he is. But trusting freshmen is not something that Izzo is against. He has proven to be that guy in the past. What he will not do is trust his whole team to a group of freshmen. He does not do that. And that's not the situation here. Tyson Walker, again, a transfer. Gabe Brown, Malik Hall, Marcus Bingham Jr. These are veteran players for
Hauser
this.
as well.
Joey Hauser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even with Julius Marble and Sissoko, like these are veteran players that they're surrounding these few key freshmen and second-year guys around. And I think it's a decent mix of players. I think they're better than people will give credit for at this point.
Yeah. Would you say Christie's going to be kind of your breakout player, or do you kind of go a different way?
I'm thinking either Gabe Brown or Marcus Bingham Jr. And I can't really decide. Gabe Brown is the freakiest of freak athletes on the team. He is really, really good. I think he can shoot it. He shot over 40% of threes last year, but he only averaged like 7 points. So it showed like the limited playing time that he had. But when he pulls the trigger, he is so effective and he's difficult to guard. So lefty, also just really hard to guard as a small forward, big body. But then Marcus Bingham Jr., he is the 7-footer. I think he grew an inch or two. He's the 7-footer that I personally, he's from Grand Rapids, actually.
Okay.
I personally think he's way more skilled than people give him credit for. I think he can shoot the ball. He doesn't have that role or confidence within the offense at this point. But if he ever has or develops that confidence, he could be an absolute difference maker for this team and put them to the next level.
Don't forget about player. I went with Joey Hauser. I think with all the new guys, we can kind of look past the Joey Hauser. He was the transfer from Marquette last year. Never really got comfortable. I think the COVID season kind of played a role with that.
Got comfortable early, but not middle and late. It was
weird.
It
was very strange. And I think you can't forget about him because I think he was brought in for a reason, and I don't think he lived up to that reason last year. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how he kind of develops. And he's going to be important to this team. So I don't know. That's where I kind of went.
I could cheat and go AJ Hogard here because of how he played today, but my real answer is Julius Marble. This is another one with all the power forwards on this team. It could get lost. He is a big, strong dude. He's athletic, and I think he's underrated. And he's not even starting. Malik Hall was starting. So Julius Marble, I think, is going to play a key role for this team. And the more he gets playing time, I think he's going to develop that confidence because he believes in himself, and you can see it on the court. His confidence is sky high.
Yeah, rebound players are a tough one because sometimes you just don't have that guy that really fits the criteria. I think that fits more for NFL and NBA.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not NBA, MLB. But for me, like my rebound player was Gabe Brown. I don't think he necessarily had a bad year last year, but he hasn't lived up to the expectations of what they recruited him for. He was a 4-star in 2018, 101 nationally. Nothing crazy, but like he hasn't done what he was brought in to do.
Well, we all see his talent.
Yeah,
and we want more.
Exactly, and I think with the playing time and maybe a little extra confidence and trust that hopefully Izzo puts in him. Allows him to kind of pull the trigger a little bit more because when he does, he looks good. He can look very, very good. And just as importantly, I don't think he had those times that he's looked bad where he's just, ruined the flow because I feel like he's more passive in that way. Where here it's like it just needs more opportunities, needs more confidence, needs more what's the right word? Permission. Like he needs permission to go out and be aggressive. And I don't think he's been given that. So that's kind of where I went with my rebound player. I don't know if one stands out to you or not.
Yeah, Joey Hauser. I think he underimpressed.
That's a good fit
from last year, and I expected a lot. And he looked so good early on. We were just raving about this Michigan State team early last year, and then they just fell off the map, and it just didn't turn out for them well. And it was, in my mind, it was a direct result of the point guard play and the lack of production from Joey Hauser.
Yeah, and for under the radar, I went with Tyson Walker. He was the transfer out of the Northeastern. Last season, he scored 18.8 points per game, had 4.8 assists in 34.8 minutes per game. I think he's underrated outside shooter from what I read up on him, and has proven to have the ability to get his own shot. I'm curious to how he will fit and if he will be given the reins to kind of create his own shot. But I think he's kind of coming in under the radar a tad. When you have, Christie
for sure,
kind of coming in to be the freshman that everybody's excited about. But yeah, that's kind of where I went there.
I could go with actually two of the other freshmen, Jaden Akins and AJ Hogard, who's actually a second-year guy. But instead I'll go with a different freshman, Pierre Brooks. He was Mr. Basketball this last year in the state of Michigan. And he's a small forward, big guy, and I think he might find a role, a niche in this team where he becomes like the Draymond Green, really big body, but good decision maker, ball in his hands, vocal leader, kind of doesn't really have any of the major tools that you would think would be effective for a basketball player.
Yeah,
but is very effective because of how much he wants it. And he has been that way all through high school. He won a state championship, and I think his competitive level will bring him into the rotation, and I think he'll make a difference.
So wrap us up with who you think will be the most valuable player for this team, and set some expectations of what you think this team will be when all said and done.
I'm going to go with an underrated pick. This isn't who I think is going to be the best player, and maybe that's my own
I get rid
fault.
of dark horse MVP.
Yeah,
I finally get point of the dark horse. Now you're gonna follow the criteria.
Correct. Yeah. No, I'm going to go dark horse.
You're gonna go dark
horse MVP. AJ Hogard, backup point guard. And I know how dumb that sounds, but you can never have too many good players and good players controlling the ball and making decisions. And if he can be that guy, like I saw in the first half against Kansas today, he's gonna be a big difference maker for this team. And I don't know if he has the finishing ability, but he doesn't need to finish. He can just make the right decision.
All right. And then what are your expectations?
I'm expecting a team that is between, I would say, like probably right around like 15 in the nation, just ranked 15th by the end of the year. And they're going to lose some games you think they should win in the Big Ten, but they're not going to be an easy out for any team. I think you're going to have to earn it against them.
Which is a sign of good coaching.
Yeah, well, and again, like if you look at their players, Marcus Bingham, 7 foot, and then they've got a couple point guards. Everybody in between is 6'6" to 6'9", and they're all big bodies, like can rebound and make decisions. Some can shoot, some can pound on low. Like you just don't know. Like they're going to be a tough out for everybody. They're going to absolutely dominate some teams based on their size, and then other teams you're going to be like, why do they have so many middle guys? They should be, they're shorter than on this team. So it just depends on the matchups. It'll play a big role in this team.
That makes sense. All right.